This is part 2 of your non-objective Photoshop project. By now you should have already created your background. It's 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 8.5, depending upon if your project is vertical or horizontal. And if you want to change that, you can say Image, Rotate, 90 degrees left. That is my background, and I can see it over here in my layer palette. You can close up your layers. Don't do that. We'll need them for this project. But if they ever get closed up by accident, you can always just click here to bring them back. If your effects are open, that's a lot of extra stuff you don't need to see, so you can close those up. I want to start by creating a new layer. So I'm going to say Layer, New, Layer, OK. So now I've got a new layer, and I'm clicked in the new layer, so I'm working in the new layer. Nothing is on the layer right now. It's transparent. So if I hide the background, I can see I'm working on a transparent layer. You're going to right-click on this tool here and see that you can have the lasso tool, the magnetic lasso, or the polygon lasso tool. We're going to use just the regular lasso tool and the polygon. We're going to start with the lasso tool. You're going to click it, and you're going to draw an organic or free-form shape. So that's just sort of a shape without angles, a shape that might be found in nature, something really loose. And when you're done drawing your shape, you can just bring it back together and let it go. And you can see it's selected. I always think of these lines as the crawling ants. And you want to pick a color and fill that in. So I'm going to take red, and I'm going to fill it in with my paint bucket. Okay, so now I want to add another shape. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to say Layer, New Layer, and then I'm going to say OK. So I'm working in layer number 2. And don't worry about the crawling ants or the selection. When I go to draw another shape, they'll go away because I'm working in a new layer. So now I'm going to draw another shape. I'm going to make this one a little more complicated. Don't worry about the size of your shape or the location, because we can change that later on. So you're not, you don't have to commit to your shape, location, or size. And then, oops, I clicked off of it, so I'm going to say Edit, Undo, Deselect, because you can always go back to where you were, okay? And you can always go back several steps. And then I'm just going to do that one more time, Layer, New Layer, to make another organic shape. So I'm going to say OK. I'm going to take my lasso tool, and I'm going to draw it. The trick is to make a new layer each time. Sometimes you forget, and you might make 2 shapes on the same layer. And I'll show you what to do if that happens. Okay, so I'm going to take my paint bucket and fill that in. Let's say I wanted to make another shape, and I forget to make a new layer. So now I'm going to make another organic shape here. I'm going to make this one white. I could, look at this, I can also, instead of the paint bucket, I could click and do a gradient if I wanted to with any 2 colors. I'm just going to fill mine in with the white though. Okay, so if you look over here, if I'm going to hide layer 2, the green shape, I'm going to hide the red shape. So we're just looking here at layer 3, okay? So I have 2 shapes on the same layer, which means for next time, if I want to move them, I've got to move them together. But what I want really is I don't want them to be on the same layer. So when I'm on layer 3, if I draw a circle with the magnetic, or with the lasso tool, if I draw a circle around one of the shapes, okay, so I've selected that, and if I say Edit, Cut, and then I say Edit, Paste, now it's on its own layer. So if you look over here, I've got layer 1, 2, 3, 4. They're there, they're just hiding. Sometimes I hide the layers because it's just easier for me to concentrate on what I'm doing if I have less layers to look at. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some more layers, but this time I'm going to use angular shapes. So Layer, New Layer, okay. I do want you to have 5 or more organic shapes. I only have 4 because I'm demonstrating, but you'll want to go in and make sure you have 5 organic and at least 5 geometric. If I right click to go to the polygon lasso tool, that's a lasso tool that lets you work with angles. So if I click, it's a point. Any place I click is a point. It doesn't matter where I draw in here, the line will be straight. So I'm not really drawing the lines, I'm just drawing the points. And when I'm done, same thing, is I can fill them in with a color, a gradient. You can also fill them in with a pattern. So I'll show you that next. Let me go back to the orange. Okay, so let's say when I'm on the paint bucket, if I click Pattern and I choose a pattern from up here, I could fill them in with I could fill this shape or any shape in with a pattern, and then that's sort of neat too. So layer, new layer. Okay, so I'm gonna do one more polygon. And you'll probably forget and put 2 shapes on a layer. The best of us do. It happens to me all the time. Okay, I don't want to do that the same color, so I'm going to do step backwards. Okay, and then I'm going to take off my pattern and fill this in. Okay, so let me bring back the shapes that I had hidden. Okay, so I still need to make a few more. If you look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shapes. So I still need to make 4 shapes to be done today. Don't worry about the arrangement. Don't worry about the position for today. When you're done, or as you go, you can just say File, Save, because we've saved this in the past, so you don't need to rename it, or you don't need to change it. For me, this was a new one, so I didn't need to save it as something else. So when you're done, save, and next time you will be ready for part 3, which is arranging your shapes and changing them around.